Hello and welcome guys, my name is Thomas and today I'm making a little new video. It's been quite a while since I've made a video for you guys, but those times are over, at least for now. The other day I installed the newest version of Ubuntu onto a virtual machine, which is what you see right here. This is Ubuntu 17.10. There is this program by GNOME, the GNOME guys, and it's called GNOME Builder. What GNOME Builder basically is it's an IDE that the GNOME guys have done, which is very Xcode-y, I might say, which is not the worst actually, and it's quite alpha-y right now. So on the roadmap there are a lot of points, very important points still not fulfilled and stuff like that, but they're on their way. And what you can do with this IDE, what's so special about it, it's trimmed for the entire GNOME framework. So you have G-Object, GNOME Introspect, GTK, etc., which is all the things that GNOME is based upon, and this is made so you can edit and run GNOME applications very efficiently, very easily, and also it works together with Auto Tools and I guess CMake as well as Meson. Probably, if it's not now, it will in the future. And I just wanted to try out how does this new IDE feel like, and B, how easy is it to build an application with the GNOME framework? Because I know the GNOME guys, they are very C oriented. And so what they've done is they've implemented both reflection, so if you know Java reflections, and objects, as well as inheritance and all the other concepts that are important for sophisticated object-oriented programming, that on top of C. And what they then have done is they created a language which is called Vala. And Vala is sort of half dead, even though there's a current release for it from the 11th of December 2017. But what Vala basically is, it uses the G-Object foundation, and it makes it so that you can type very modern code and it will transpile it back to C. And that is a very interesting concept. I'm trying to pull up a little example of all this. And it has very, very cool concepts, and it will all compile down back to C. So let me just check out if I can find an example. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to code a little application in Vala that is basically a little GUI application, and see how the GTK environment works, how Vala works, if it's really something you could or would like to do. You can see the syntax. It's rather straightforward. It has type inference. It has all the keywords you need basically, so it's not the sort of C code, because if you look at the C code for the entire G-Object thing, if you're good at C or you're used to it looking like that, it's good, but there's a lot of boilerplate, a lot of templates, a lot of void pointer function, pointer casting and stuff like that. But with this, it should all look a little more like this. It also has lambdas like that, and we'll try to implement such a simple example like that. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to get Builder, and to get Builder we need Flatpak. Flatpak is sort of a container format, I'd like to say, even though it's not really, it's more like a sandbox, and it helps you package entire applications into this sandbox. And then on every Linux distribution you can just install Flatpak and run stuff on it, sort of like Docker works. But Docker is a containering solution, so the internals work a little bit differently to this. But the basic idea is you install Flatpak, you install such a Flatpak container, sandbox, whatever it is really, and then you have an application that's prepackaged with all the libraries, etc., etc., etc. Sort of like apps on a mobile operating system. And as you can see, this virtual machine is what I normally use to test KVM stuff. And another new thing about this video, normally when I do a video, I'm very well prepared, and what I show is something that I've tried a gazillion times before to make sure it all works. But this one is a little different, because that's also the reason why I didn't do any videos anymore. I just don't have the time for this. But I have the time to let you know how it is to play around with stuff. And for me, playing around with stuff, I first want to see something, and then I go backwards from that to understand how it works thoroughly. So what I've done right now is I've run a command called apt install flatpak apt, which is the package manager that Ubuntu and Debian use. So I've got the flatpak commando, and let's see, we have flatpak 087 as the version. And now let me try to install something. So if I run flatpak like this, there are a lot of commands. I've dug into the not the README, but the man pages, and looked at all the commands that there are. And it looks rather straightforward. It looks like we have to install the flatpak ref, or however that is called, and then we have to run the application from the flatpak ref, that is, I think. And then you can see you can enter the sandbox and do certain things, but we're not going to get into that. I'm not really, as you can see, I'm not familiar with Flatpak at all, and still we're going to get this thing running. So the first thing that we actually need is the Flatpak ref. It's when we say get builder 326. This installs the Flatpak ref. So let's just save that to the downloads. You can see that right here. So let's just give it a try by saying flatpak install or GNOME Builder, whatever it is. Okay, this application depends on the runtimes from whatever. Okay. I think I mistyped that. Here we go. So it's now rolling. Required runtime is now installed. Found it in remote flathead. Do you want to install it? Of course I do. It's a virtual machine. If something goes wrong, I'll just reinstall it. But so far, so good. I don't like the fact that with the bash completion files that this comes with, it doesn't just complete the file name, but instead it forces you to somehow put a parameter in there when you really don't want that. You want the file, but you just copy and paste it and it's all good, I guess. And I'm very thankful for my internet connection. It's not the fastest in the world, but it's a very fast one. Or I wouldn't be able to do a video like this, where it's like, oh, I'm going to download something for 2 hours and yeah, cool. So this is installing. I'm not entirely sure what it's doing, to be fair. But it's doing its thing, which is better than what I've expected. I thought that we'd get an error prompt instantaneously and we'd now need to go digging, but we don't. So let's go flatpak list, and it looks good. Flatpak run or GNOME Builder. And now let's check this out, if it works or not. As you can see, I'm also running this on the user context. I didn't need to put a sudo in front of it, which would run it in the root user context. Not sure what happens, but it worked. We're now in Builder. What would be very interesting is if we do have a desktop file. Oh, we actually have a desktop file. And now I'm very curious. What happens if we go find in the root something with the name of builder.desktop, and we don't want to see all the errors? Will we find the file and where does it reside? Okay, no, we don't find it. It's very uncool. Let's do a case insensitive search. Doesn't work as well. Let's list all the desktop files. Okay, there are quite a few. So I don't know where this desktop file comes from, this builder.desktop, to be honest. So there are some, there it is, or GNOME Builder.desktop. That's where it comes from. Warlib, Flatpak, exports, share. So I think that's something that this one sets up for you already. And if we open up the Flatpak file, or the desktop file, I'm sorry, that different translations here. But what I'm searching for is what it actually executes to run this. Where's the command? So command name icon exec, there it is. User bin flatpak run branch stable arch, the current arch, and then with the command of GNOME Builder or GNOME Builder %u, which is probably the current directory. I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's what it's doing. So it's doing a Flatpak run like we're doing right now. So let's launch it from the desktop file actually. So let's just close out of Builder, and that's that. Let's close the terminal and we should be able to just run Builder. And here we go. That's cool. It was quite quick in comparison. And this operating system is currently in German. I'm very sorry about that, but I'm very happy to see that they've already translated quite a lot of things. And as the options, we do have new, open, and clone. So we do want to have a new project. The project name should be test, and it will be under our home folder projects. Oh, and we do have support for C, JavaScript, Python, and Vala. We're going to do a Vala project today, and we don't want to have a license right now. What I don't really like about it is that it selects GPL v3 Plus by default. I don't really like the concept of a plus license or and beyond and stuff like that, because it would allow people to make stuff proprietary in advance, relicense your code because it said, oh, it's compatible with that plus anything that follows that. Not cool at all. So watch out. And it's a very, GPL v3 is a very restrictive license. I would prefer an MIT X11 license over that. But okay, so we do want version control, and it's using Git for that. We do want a GNOME application, and let's just try it. Create. Okay. Tells me that my computer doesn't have the program Flatpak Builder, but okay. Don't know what it did right there. It looked like it crashed to me. Okay, let's run it from the terminal and see where it crashes. Actually, okay, so we have created that. And it's using Mason already, which is cool. It's really good that it's already using Mason for this. And it's already created quite some lines of Mason for me. It has also already created some directories and added that to the Mason directory. And here it's downloading whatever it needs right now, which is cool. Okay, so I just installed that, which looks good. So let me just, how about I run this? And it's giving you little hints for what that is. It did something. Nothing opened up. Okay. Strange. Let's just close out of the file. Let's go into the source, main Vala. And what it's doing here, it's creating a new GTK application. It's connecting. App active window, if then equals null, we create a new window. Then we present that, and then we run the application, which is something I would expect of this. Okay, here's the Mason file for our application. Looking good. And we have a window UI thing, which is probably a way of creating an interface for a GTK3 application. Can't tell you because I am very serious about this. I really don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, so there are a couple of errors, but let's just clean out all this and run. Okay, target name test is reserved for Mason's internal use. Please rename. Okay, it's having a problem with my project name actually. Okay, cool. Not so cool that it allowed me to create this, but to be honest, this is like alphaware or something like that. It's also telling me it failed in running it. It doesn't provide many errors. It also has this dedicated section for to-dos and fix-me's, and we can just close out of them. Okay, There's a profiler tab, which is cool. Not fully translated, but okay. Okay, quite a few warnings, but that's not something to worry about right now. Okay, let's reopen up Builder. I really only wanted to close the project. And before digging in too much, let's just create something called the test app. No license. We want a version control. We want a GNOME application. Do it. And then I closed it out. Cool. So let's just run it. Okay, it's presenting me a couple of warnings, but it's also presenting me a hello world, which is cool. So let's just close out of that. That did work. Did have a success. We do have a warning. Failed to open file, the icon theme cache. No such file or directory. Well, whatever, to be fair. And then here's the real warning. Field test app window label never used. Okay, so let's go in here, go into the window.vala probably. Here we have the label, here's the warning. It annotates that very nicely. That is so cool. We have some sort of annotation here in Vala. Okay, so we have a label in here. It's never used, but it's in the public interface. And let's just try to get that to shut up. And of course it doesn't do that. New label. No, new GTK dot label. And it's not liking that. Missing arguments. Okay, so it does want either null to satisfy it because it's a string optional, or it wants something. Test. Like that. I don't see how that should change though, because it's probably, this label is probably changed or manipulated by the outside application. Okay. It's almost did too much for me, I might say. Like really, like there's a lot that's going on in this little editor. We do have some Flatpak commands to download everything that's missing, and this here's the Flatpak file, which basically tells it where the sources are, what it needs to clean up, etc., etc. What I wanna do is, now that we have this UI file, is there something like a GTK designer? So maybe it's not in here. Maybe I have to download it somewhere else. GNOME.UI designer or something like that. Glade, or user interface designer. That's probably the tool that we need to use if we want to do this. There are even OS 10 binaries, which is cool. Saved as XML. These can be loaded dynamically. Sounds good. So I think we just need to search that. Apt search Glade. Let's just see. There's a lot of lib stuff like that. Glade. It's just called like that. Sudo apt install Glade. Oh, not Glaze. Not hungry right now. Let's just try and do that. And here we go. So I'm sorry for the... Why am I sorry? This is the exact style I wanted. So this is a very off-the-cuff video. Now we'll time box these. Right now we're 22 minutes already for getting Builder up and running and for exploring all the things. I will probably cut this down, but let's just see how this fares. So Glade, like that. We are conducting the user survey. No, we don't want to take part in that. And now we can open it. Is that right? We do have our project, our test app source, window.ui. And there she is. That's our window in here. That's exactly that. And now, it's also the UI is in German, and I'm sorry for that, but I will, later on, I will put this VM into an English language, and that's that. Okay, so here we have a label, we have a header bar, but the label is the only thing in here. And I would like it to be, I would like it to be like that, really. Okay, So we can create a window. And let's just make this bigger so I can see everything in here. Which leaves a little less screen real estate. So let's just create a little grid in here, the window. Can't I do that? Why not? Why can't I put a grid onto here? But in here, I do want to add that. Like that. And we can put that. Why can't we just move it? I don't get that. So we do have a GTK grid, but not everything is in here, really. And I cannot move like I want it. So if I add another button, I can put that into the middle. And I can call the button OK or something like that. And that works. And what happens now if we save this? So let's close out of here. Save. Then rerun Builder now from the GUI, as it seems that this works. So we see that the XML has a lot more code here, and this seems to work, except I don't know where the other stuff is. So I probably really need to familiarize myself with the concept of GTK interface design before we continue with this. And I think I might read that part of the documentation without you. So the first impression is that Builder is a very cool IDE as of now. I mean, we could install it right out of Ubuntu using Flatpak. We ran it and it worked for the most part. We had one little crash, but to be honest, I develop iOS applications at work, and Xcode crashes more than once a day for me right now. And no, it's not a hardware issue. It's just so that, you know, Xcode, very complicated IDE, very complex mechanics inside it to determine if something's an error or not, very complex fix-it finding and stuff like that. So probably it has to do with being very complex and being not bug-free, because every year there needs to be a new Xcode, or every 6 months there needs to be a new Xcode. So they just shove it out. Builder is a very complex IDE. It can deal with Meson files, as we've seen. It can build applications. It can get you very interesting, detailed stuff. It has a very cool editor component that I couldn't test a lot because I didn't know what I was doing. But it has a very complex IDE. It has profiling integrated, as a terminal integrated. It has different panes, and it's a lot far more mature than I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be like this unfinished thing that maybe ran, but you couldn't do anything with it. But it seems that combining Glade and GNOME Builder, you can create applications as of right now. Maybe they'll add Glade into the GNOME Builder, maybe not like merge the code, but maybe just have a link into Glade so that you could, on a UI file, just switch over to Glade, and that's it. I will play more with this, definitely, but not for now. Our time box is over. We're in 30 minutes, and thanks for watching. I hope you liked this type of video. What you will see is a supercut of all of that, and maybe you can put me down in the comments below a couple of recommendations where to continue on with this. And I will try to read some documentation that GTK provides and how their interface system works, how their types work. And yeah, okay. Shouldn't be too difficult. See you in another one. Goodbye.